Welcome. Today I'm going to show you how I wired the Kleinn MOLLE onboard air system to my Jeep. Please note that some of these steps may be a little different, depending on the vehicle you are installing on. For more specific information, refer to your instructions. With the kit mounted onto the vehicle and the tank and compressor fixed in position, I'm now looking for a solid ground to mount the negative lead of the compressor to. I'm determining where the grounding point will be using a multimeter. I'm checking continuity of a conductive spot of the frame. On this particular installation, I found a threaded hole on the roll cage of the vehicle that shows promise. After threading the bolt and negative lead into it, the resistance of that point and the frame was 0 ohms, as you can see on the multimeter, which is considered a perfect connection. Using the included zip ties, I'm securing the compressor ground wire so it's neat and tidy. Always trim the zip ties with a flush cutter like I'm showing so you don't leave any sharp plastic daggers. Now we move on to crimping the terminals of the pressure switch, which is located on the tank. Check continuity as you work to ensure your connections are solid. Crimp connectors can sometimes fail during installation and leave you with a lot of wasted time tracing a bad connection. I always give them a tug to make sure they are secure. As you can see, some of them fail, so they need to be re-crimped with either a smaller gauge crimp or crimped using a different method. Switching focus, we move on to mounting the relay and the fuse which will carry power to the compressor. This is typically installed in the engine compartment. First, I attach the relay to the vehicle. Then I mount the inline fuse holder. The fuse cartridge has grooves that will lock into the holder for a secure retention. I remove the fuse and set it aside, so no power will be carried along the line until I'm ready to perform final hookups. I then trace the line for the power wire and cut, crimp, and route the wire to the positive battery terminal. I zip tie the wiring as I go. It's a good idea to have extra zip ties on hand should you need more. I will do the same routing, cutting and crimping process for the other end of the fuse holder to route it onto the load terminal of the relay. The other end of the load terminal will be what connects to the compressor positive wire. In this case, the compressor has a connector that I can't work with, so I'm cutting it off and using a butt connector to extend the power wire so I can bring it into the engine bay. I use split loom to protect the wires from the pressure switch and compressor. I'll go ahead and route the loom through an inconspicuous pathway to bring the wiring into the engine bay and right up to the relay. Be sure to secure the loom as you go so your wiring is not slack in any spot. At this point, it's safe to reinstall the glass fuse. When reinstalling, you have to match the groove from the inner fuse lug with the extruded channel on the holder, and make sure when you fully screw in the fuse cap, the rubber seal is aligned properly and not offset. Now I'll finish up routing the power wire to the relay. I'll start by cutting it to length and crimping on the correct spade connector. Then I plug it into the relay in the correct terminal. One of the remaining yellow wires will go to one terminal of the relay signal side, while the other terminal of the relay will go to a grounding point. In this case, I chose to hook it up directly to the negative terminal of the battery. Once the relay ground is connected, I test the actuation of the relay by touching the remaining yellow wire to the battery positive to make sure the relay energizes and turns on the compressor. Now, I will look for a switched power circuit from the vehicle by accessing the engine compartment fuse box. Matching the fuses in there with an add-a-circuit fuse, I prep the add-a-circuit and begin hunting for a power signal that will show 0 volts when the vehicle is off and show 12 volts when the vehicle is running. Finding my circuit, I remove the fuse and place it into the add-a-circuit, but in this case, there was a plastic tab that was preventing the add-a-circuit from seating correctly, so I trim the tab down and seat the fuse. Next, I trim out a small channel for the wire to be routed into the fuse box without getting pinched by the lid. Continuing with the wiring of the add-a-circuit, I expose the wire from the insulation and fold it over itself to allow for the blue butt connector to have more bite on the wire. I then insert the wire into the blue connector and crimp it for a strong electrical connection. I intentionally leave a long run of the yellow wire in case I need to repair the wiring in the future. Now I simply route the wire in the fuse box and confirm the compressor will turn on with the key in the run position. Once confirmed operational, I cover up the fuse box and double check the wire has a little free play and is not being pinched by the fuse box cover. I hope you enjoyed this example of how I wired my MOLLE onboard air system to my Jeep. For more information regarding the MOLLE Onboard air system, go to kleinn.com.